Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Tuesday morning, it is 19th day in the month of September 2023. Super excited to be back, and we give God all the glory for counting us worthy to be counted amongst the living. Good morning to you wherever you are viewing us from, and we'd like to thank you always for keeping it real with Western Spring Television, the station that says it as it is. Morning Spring is back, and we are back, and if you're joining us for the very first time, we'd like to appreciate you most sincerely. The program runs every in the course of a week, Mondays through Friday, and it promises to always keep getting better, no doubt about that. And today, it's not an exception. We promise you, and it will be exciting. Welcome on board. TUNDE IDOWU is my name.
Right, and FEMI Ojo is my name. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Welcome you once again to this program where we discuss the issues of public importance. Of course, start with the papers, and now the other side of that, we get talking. And today's conversation will be about what has been generating so much furore. You know, people have been commenting, the traditional institutions, most especially the historians, the keepers of our culture, custodians of our culture, rather, frowning at that incident. You will get to hear more about that, especially what happened in Iseyin, for your state, where the former president, made some statements. The way he made it, the kind of people he was referring to, talking about our traditional institutions, their place, especially the modern day now in government, so many things, and we have the right people to talk to this morning. When I say the right people, you get to meet them very shortly, among so many things happening in Nigeria. Talking about the labor, I understand there has been a meeting yesterday to forestall the act of going on protest or strike, because just like you usually say, the economy is such in a fragile state that we can afford to down tool, attend either the private sector or, the government-owned institutions as well. Just to put this there, one of the things that has been happening is this controversy about the late Oladimeji Aloba, popularly called Mohbad. Yeah. It's getting serious.
Much more serious than expected, and coupled with the fact that looking at statements credited to certain people, ranging from his father, looking at what happened, the way and manner, people have been so angry. If you are a follower of this guy on social media handles, not just on Twitter, on social media handles generally, you find out that don't just make a mistake in life. And most especially if you are a public figure, you are going to be dragged into the mud. And just like we heard here in OSOGBO, it's been done in certain states. Here in OSOGBO, there's going to be a protest, a peaceful one, wanting justice for Mohbad.
Justice for Mohbad in different states, actually.
Different states, and a rally. Thank you, rally. It's better called a rally.
For people to just express that issue should not just be swept.
To the root of the matter.
And the interesting thing is that the police has put up high-powered,
special investigation team.
Yeah, investigation team, and they put out their names there. All of them are detectives. And so for people to know that they are not just saying it, they are going to see, to the end of the matter, what really transpired. So many names have been mentioned, but we have the rule according to our laws that everybody is presumed innocent until the court says otherwise. So we just stated there. But then it's something that most persons, in fact, there are some unusual, quote-unquote, persons who we think these are corporate persons, who might not have anything to do. Many persons have been commenting on the matter because of the perceived bullying, harassment, trying to just lord one's will or wish over the other that have been, spoken about on this matter as well. But then it's a good thing that the police are really interested. The commission, the investigation team has been put together. There was a team yesterday, a meeting yesterday, stakeholders meeting yesterday, in Lagos, and then we hope justice will really be served, you know, to the deserving party as well. But once again, we commiserate with the family of the young man, as Latimeji Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad, his young child, the wife, and everybody involved on this matter. We go on a very short break right now. But before we do that, let's inform you that we are live on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on our social media platform, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram as well. We go on a short break. When we come back, we see what the papers are saying. So stay with us.
All right, welcome back, and let's begin to serve you some of the stories we have for you from the various papers that we have for you this morning. I'll kick things off from the pages of the Punch newspaper, and it has that big, bold headline, something we actually discussed during our introduction. It's about this purport strike action, but it has the headline. It says, FG, NLC meeting deadlocked. Workers insist on demands. Then there is a writer, there are writers associated to that story there. It says, government workers must agree on concrete resolutions within remaining days of ultimatum. That's credited to the NLC there. And minister appeals to labor unions to embrace dialogue. Shun strike as deadline ends Friday. Yep, okay. As much as we too will say, please, let it be dialogue.
Yeah.
Federal government, please do the needful.
Yes.
So that it's actually in your hands to avert this strike. All right. There is a picture there that you can see work seems to have started, just like what the minister of the FCT, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, stated that there will be demolitions. You have this demolition of illegal structure at Area 1 shopping complex in Abuja yesterday. It seems as if the man is a man who keeps to his word. Once he says he's going to do something, demolition has begun in Abuja. Further down that story, you have drama as Obaseki locks out embattled deputy governor from government house. This conflict seems to be a no-ending conflict. Not no-ending story. It's a no-ending conflict.
You know, when I saw that story, I was like, okay, it's more like if you're in a house, let's say your father's house, and then, for the want of a better word, and you feel, I can no more be staying here, let me move out. Possibly he's not the one who said you should move out. And he said, you know what? I'm done with you people. I'm moving out, and then I'm going to find my space. And then, okay, the father is not saying anything, or, you know, the elderly person there. And after some time, you now come back to the compound and say, I want to go to my room. And the father said, no way. No, you've already moved out. Because that's the thing. The deputy governor have been seen to have moved out into another entirely different facility. So possibly the governor just feel, you don't go. You
can come in again. The prodigal son is back, but then this, for me, this seems to be an embarrassment. It's not the first.
It's getting messy.
It's getting messy. It shouldn't be leaders. They are portraying something to the society, to the younger generation. This shouldn't be the way you portray positivity to the next generation. It's embarrassing.
And it's looking like for the past 2 weeks or past 1 month, the only news that has been coming out of that state has been about the governor and the deputy. I'm sure the Edo people will not be too happy about that. And it's not for the good reason. They are not the only two persons in the whole of such a state.
I believe, by and large, they should be able to manage their differences and do this.
That's not happening soon.
Where are the elders? Are they not talking? That's the unfortunate thing. I've not heard any of these so-called elders from Edo State coming. But then,
good luck to them there. Good luck to MC Too Much and his people.
We'll probably send him as an emissary. The red strip there says tension as 8 killed in open community, cold clashes. This is becoming unbecoming. Cold clashes, is just dying down in our dear states here in Osun State and one of the towns here, Elisha. We thank God that peace is coming back. We've heard this in several other states as well. Court clashes, 8 killed. No. This is not tonight. All right. Obasanjo insists on stand-up order to monarchs. That's going to be our topic, our discussion on the show this morning. Just keep your fingers crossed. We will be talking with a very prominent person who, we always bring prominent people on the show who will help us out to analyze, plays, roles of Obj'S in the society and culture. On the top strip of the same daily here, Nigeria servicing 108 World Bank loans worth $14 billion. 108 World Bank loans worth $14 billion. That's a report of that. Yeah. And no easy solution to Nigeria's economic problems, says U.S. U.S., please don't abandon us at this moment in time. Oil companies, agencies, OFG, 89.85 billion naira revenue. That's Nati speaking there. What were they looking at? That kind of money accrued or accumulated to that amount. That's not chicken change. That's huge. That'll be all from the pages of the Punch newspaper from me for this morning.
All right, we go to the Guardian. The Guardian for this morning. All right, and definitely we have this bold headline there. Nigerians bear 1 trillion naira metering boarding as CBN World Bank backpedal. Nigerians bear 1 trillion naira metering boarding as CBN World Bank backpedal. Okay. And of course, you see different diagrams and representations, some graphics there. Increases in meter pricing between 2013 and 2023 for CAPME, some kind of meters. It was 24,000 at some point, single phase, and three-phase 53,000, followed by 44,896 naira for single phase, and then three-phase 82,000 naira. As it stands today, single phase is 81,000 naira, 975.16 naira, yes, kobo, and then three-phase 143,836 naira, 10 kobo. That's what they're saying. And then till date, only 4 discos have successfully metered at least 50% of their consumers, while some discos have achieved a mere 19%. If you need a detail of that graphical representation, please pick a copy of the Guardian for today. Moving on, economy, insecurity, others top Senate's concerns as 2024 budget plans begin. Right. And UNGA, that's United Nations General Assembly, Tinubu addresses world leaders today on illicit financial flows, asset return. Right. Husband narrates how fake doctor harvested late wife's kidney. This is becoming unbecoming. People go to hospital to access care, and then it has been seen some quarter that when they come back with their body part incomplete. It should be really investigated, because this is appearing like there is a cartel behind it who possibly has found a business and built an illegal business around this organ harvesting. That's a very bad one, and it's against the laws of our land, definitely. 25th killed, 7 arrested in Shagamu court war. That's a shame.
Absolutely.
NNPCL fails to remit $6.9 billion, swaps $7.1 billion worth of crude in 1 year. Okay, I think a factor beginning to emerge, especially as the day goes by. Definitely, these should not be swept under the carpet. Litigation stalls AMCON's loan recovery. 73% of top 350 debtors in court. All right, and that will be all on the front page of the Guardian for today.
And from here, I move over straight to the pages of The Nation newspaper for today. The Nation newspaper has different stories, in as much as we still have some other stories making sense to each other. From the pages of The Nation newspaper, you have the big bold caption there. It says, Atiku, Obi's appeal raises concern over Supreme Court cases. And there are two writers associated. There's a writer associated to that story, actually. It says panel of 7 will deplete number of justices to 4. If you're interested in full details of that story, it's on the pages of The Nation newspaper. And you can see a car there, a black Jeep, SUV there. That actually belongs to the deputy governor of Edo State, who was shot out from the government house. You have the story there. Shuaibu's drama at government house deepens role with Obaseki.
Looking at the picture, he appears stranded. Really?
And you know, what I actually feel pity for the security guard, for whoever that had been told, if you dare open that gate, and now he's in between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Obey the last command.
You can see the guy there just pocketing and looking. Hey.
Possibly waiting for instructions or, you know, good luck to him.
Oh, God. We just hope something drastic will be done at this moment in time. This is not, it's not encouraging at all. And coming further down there, you have agro likely to become Lagos HOS. Agoro. Okay. Yeah. Agoro. Likely to become Lagos HOS. Thank God we have ours here. We already have ours. So we are good to go. And federal government, NLC talks to continue. Please continue and let it be meaningful. There is another picture above the main joke plate there. That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with his South African counterpart at the United Nations General Assembly in New York there. And you have the headline there. It says, Tinubu Ramaphosa in investment talks at UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly. Please do the talk and let's see the result of the talk. We wish them the very best. On the left strip, on the left-hand side of that picture there, it says NFF chief. NEF, beg your pardon. NEF chief Baba Ahmed joins Shetima as special advisor. And I don't know, we actually nominated FEMI Ojo, but then in the course of time. Okay. Why I accepted offer. VP gets 17 other aides. Congratulations to them. And please do the
make it count. Yeah.
We want to see the impact of you being appointed as well. The red strip above that picture of President Bola Tinubu and President Ramaphosa there says, police kill 8, arrest 9 in Shagamu cold clashes. This is not right. And on the top strip of the same daily for today, FIRS recovers 4 trillion naira tax liabilities from NNPCL. I didn't say 4 billion, I said 4 trillion. Wow. Obasanjo justifies public rebuke of traditional rulers. It's virtually common to all the dailies this morning. And petrol importers, power firms behind anti-Akpabio plots. What was that? Why? But then, if you want full details, it's on the pages of the Nation. And lastly, the 5 senators, 26 reps sacked by tribunal. That will be all from the pages of the Nation newspaper for today.
All right, we'll move to the Daily Times. The Daily Times, that's the legendary Daily Times. And move to impeach Senate President Akpabio, Rambuzan. Move to impeach Senate President Akpabio, Rambuzan. Talking about the Daily Times for today with riders. Northern senators riled by inability to check Tinubu's perceived urbanization of economy. Whatever that means. Northern senators riled by inability to check Tinubu's perceived urbanization of economy, the untold role of northern big business owners and disco owners angry with AIM over failed 40% tariff hike plan. communique, possibly giving the reasons for these purported impeachment of the Senate President. But of course, boldly there, you have the picture, a picture of 3 officers from the police and possibly that have been, summoned at the headquarters for one thing or the other, definitely on the backside. I think there was a situation in which a video went viral of our SUG president of a particular school, I think in Adamawa State or so.
Yeah.
And you see some policemen escorting him. And I think these were the gentlemen.
Yeah, they are.
These are the gentlemen who escorted him, and they have been summoned, who put you there. The SUG president, having 3 police detail, one does they say shall never end. So they will have their time. Definitely the institution, talking about the police, has a way of handling that, and they are handling it already. But then having their faces shown, I think for their family members or for the people who knows them, they'll feel embarrassed.
Absolutely.
Really for them, because
they themselves should be embarrassed.
For themselves, yeah.
Honestly, it's very sad that our dear men in uniform, some of the security agencies, these days, most especially the NPF, Nigerians seem not to have so much trust, so much respect for them anymore. And it's unfortunate.
Because of how they have put themselves out there.
No, tell me, if a military officer comes into Western Spring Television or Rave 91.7 FM at this moment, we will probably just, as much as we know our rights, we'll force, there is no way. You first of all see them and then you
want to
package
them that,
but seeing I don't know. But just as we keep saying here, we still have very, very amazing officers amongst the NPF doing it rightly. But this is an embarrassment. So who is the student union where you have to do that? President
of his school.
No, this is
but then it's a good thing that the institution is purging itself. And seeing through that.
Kudos to them.
Kudos the integrity of that institution is returned. 2024, Guba, deputy locked out amid fresh mess in government house. All right. I just tried to take possibly any story that we've not taken before. Sundry charges halting maritime operations in Nigeria. Female operators tell Oyetola. All right. That will be all on the front page of the Daily Times. We've taken virtually all the stories that this paper carries on its front page.
And quickly from the pages of This Day newspaper for today. This Day newspaper has that bold headline as well. Adeyemo identifies 4 economic reform priorities for Nigeria. And there is a couple of riders associated to that story there. And it says, commends Tinubu's administration's bold steps. These are taken from the pages of This Day newspaper. Comments Tinubu's administration's bold steps, says unified forex rate essential to attracting foreign investment, and declares reversing the policy will be worse. Right? Economists, you guys know what it looks like, what it means when the Nigerians are waiting when things will subside, when this pain and this bit of hardship will subside. All right, okay, moving further down, you have that U.S.-Nigeria economic relations. It has always been awesome. Let's just better it and let the citizens enjoy this dividends as well. Moving further up, it's credited to all the dailies as well. Edo crisis deepens. We hope it can be resolved as well. And Adedeji resumes Adedeji resumes as FIRS generates 8.5 trillion naira in 9 months. Whoa. Indefinite strike looms as NLC FG talks end in deadlock. Labor demands 200% wage award, and government worried over economic impact of another strike. Meet TUC today. That's all from This Day newspaper for today.
All right, and on the Daily Sun, the last one for the session for today, the Daily Sun, Northern senators grouse about Akpabio exposed. with a rider. Aggrieved lawmakers say a zone marginalized in federal appointments without Senate President doing anything to stop it. Of course, you're already hearing some kind of conjuring of words now, urbanization. Okay, we get to interrogate that possibly on the program on some other days. The picture there of former governor of Anambra State and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, receiving a copy of a book, okay? And parents, guardians lament hike in fees as schools resume. This is a general uniform for everybody. It's an assurance for everybody that parents have to wear. You have to cover something. And sometimes today you have to understand with these schools, if a business owner, yes. In fact, as a parent, I already know you won't pay the same thing you paid last month.
Absolutely.
The situation is not the same.
Yeah.
It's only fair for you to know, but you can only tell on the schools, please take it easy with us. That's it.
Seriously.
And we wish every of our child, the caregivers, the parents, the teachers, a happy resumption as well. Yes, and FIRS nets 8.5 trillion in 9 months, all right. Enugu State government begins sealing of illegal mining sites. Okay, and gunmen hijack another Benue links boss. Abduct NTA staff, 10 others. Sad. Paris club refund. Federal government has called to stop $418 million. That's $418 million payment to consultants. Whoever the people that were involved in that kind of a deal they should be probed and investigated as well. NNPCL, 47 other firms, all federal government, 8.265 billion report. All right. And strike. Federal government NLC meeting deadlocked. And the Sun book will help in national development. That's all there is on the Daily Sun front page for today. And that will be all for this segment of the headlines. So when we return, we get talking the situation, the incident, of, for the want of a better word, that verbal expression of the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, in his saying where he addressed traditional rulers in a kind of way that can only be deemed to be controversial, which has been generating so much controversy. We look into that and more when we come back from this break. It's the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Please stay with us. We'll be back.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Eva is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ad initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups in the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history. The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trades and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution, and the People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural, and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bolaige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bolaige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kurumi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North.
ẹ̀yin lọ́balọ́ba orí adé mo kí yín kú jókòó ẹ ṣe tẹ́ wà ń bí ṣùgbọ́n ẹ jẹ́ kí n sọ nǹkan kan ibi tí gómìnà bá wà tàbí pírẹsidẹ́ǹtì bá wà kò sí ọba náà ó ń láti dìde fún gómìnà tàbí fún pírẹsidẹ́ǹtì ẹ dìde. Ẹ jókòó. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ nílẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire nǹkan méjì là ń bọ̀wọ̀ fún among others. Age ọjọ́ orí àti ipò gómìnà ní ipò tójú tí ẹ ní ọba lọ nígbà tó bá ṣe gómìnà tó bá ṣe gómìnà mọ́ even nígbà tí mo ṣe president mo ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ fọba ṣùgbọ́n tí n bá wọ yàrá ọba ó dọ̀bálẹ̀ fún mi. So ẹ jẹ́ kí a gbé àṣà wa ká gbé lárugẹ.
All right, welcome back. And you just heard that is definitely going to be our conversation on the show this morning. Let's first of all welcome you back to the show. It's still Morning Spring right here from Western Spring Television, the station that says it as it is. We'd like to let you know that you can follow this program on all our social media handles. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And our YouTube channel is definitely running at this moment in time at Western Spring Television. Femi Joe is still in the house from here. Femi?
Of course. Yes, the conversation this morning will be about the video that you've just watched, what happened at Iseyin, where the former president of the nation, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, was invited by the governor of Oyo State for a commissioning of a different project. But that outburst happened at Iseyin, and where he addressed traditional rulers, many of them that were seated, and he told them to stand up and then take their seat. And the way he said it and everything around is what we are going to be saying today. And after that, President Obasanjo was talking about the fact that when a president comes into a gathering or state governor, everybody there, including the traditional ruler, should accord them that respect and stand, because the institution of presidency or somebody being a governor is higher than that of everyone, including the traditional rulers. That's why he even said when he was a president as well, that he respects the culture, possibly something different might play out when they're in the public, but when he gets inside, those traditional rulers, will have to pay obeisance to him as well. So that has been generating so much controversies. Many traditional rulers have spoken on the matter, the Orogo of Okela, the Oluwo of Iwoland, among many persons. Some groups as well have spoken and found their eye at what former President Olusegun Obasanjo said and how he said it. So in the house today, in the studio, we have with us live the ARABA of Osogbo land, High Chief IFAYEMI OSUNDAGBONU ELEBUIBON is here with us in the house. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good to have you here, sir.
How are you, sir?
Thank you.
And of course, joining us on Zoom to be part of the conversation as well is the AJANA of Osogbo, and he is the president of Traditional Religion Worshippers Association of Osun State, Dr. OLUOMO OLUSEYI ATANDA. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, Mr. Bakuma here.
All right.
Thank you.
And here we go. All right. All right. That's good to go. And let's delve right into the matter.
Yep.
Hi, Chief, sir. When you saw that video, what was your reaction?
The incident that happened is no surprise to many of us that know the tradition, because the government, they place Oba in a position as civil servant. They select them and they pay them the salary. Oba is a sacred person.
Absolutely.
Even the palace is also a sacred. But the way the government used to treat our Oba is not good. That is what caused the incident that we're all talking about. And some of our Oba too, they refuse to go inside the Ipebi or Ilofi. They don't take orientation course. They do not know they are sacred. Even the crown they wear, some of them did not wear the ancient crown. They wear the Molangoro, Ade Pali. So when you say Kabiesi to some Oba, you say God is Kabiesi. So they are useless themselves. And that's what caused all this problem we are having now today. The government has its own faults, and the Oba also. The place that all Oba went that day is not a wrong place to be. But what has been happening in the past keep repeating himself. If you take a look into the situation in 1957, sometime October like this, it happened between Chief Obafemi Awolowo and the Ademuwago, the Adesida, Deji of Akure. And it also happened with Bode Thomas and the late Alaafin. And those Oba of those days, they had distraction. Their 5-star forces, I share. It's with them. Most of Oba of today, they did not take a share from their ancestor. That is why the sanction has been removed from their mouth. When a person saying, "Say me no go maba, ma go loba," and oto se ribe. Emi no ni ma pariwo, ma pariwo loba. How many of today can do that? They had removed themselves from the sacred place. All the palace in Yoruba land are sacred place. The room, there's a different room, but now they remove it. So what do you expect to happen? That is why they've been useless. The Oba themselves need to keep traditional intact. They need to know they are traditional people. They are not people of Jerusalem, people of Bethlehem or Arabian. That is why we have been giving warning to all the princes that came from the royal family. If you know that your modern tradition is not allow you to be custodian of tradition, better keep away. Let those who will perform it right go there. So it is story that keep repeat themselves. They placed over under the local chairman. The king must take order from local chairman. Okay, is that good?
Actually, please hold on at this point, sir. Let me come to Dr. ATANDA. Are you with us, please?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Let's look at tradition. From when the likes of us were growing up, we virtually knew what it meant with tradition and culture. Most especially on our side here, the Yoruba land here, we have so much respect, just like every other tribe, the Igbos, the Hausas here. But what is the role of tradition in picking an Oba, first of all, before we can now say, how can this Oba be accorded due respect.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's also part of where we got it wrong. Because, you know, the university that so that we walk once the foundation is faulty, the wall will not certainly hold. The wall will crumble. So that's a good question. The foundation has become faulty. The overseas selection process has been thwarted. In the past, there's a process. You already know the next ruling house that is next in line. It is just that ruling house that comes up with princes. And they do an in-house process to bring forward a certain number of princes. Those princes are brought forward to the kingmakers. Kingmakers do their test. They prune down the number to a smaller one. And thereafter, it is taken to the OLUOMO or the ARABA and he stands to. Babalawos now do a divination on behalf of the town and chant Ifa for each of those princes. And obviously, the kingmakers and the Babalawos will hear from Ifa what Ifa says about the princes. The princes that the story looks good, those that the stories also look not too good. And thereafter, they will have a smaller number again, and eventually, they will now put it before Ifa, who is the best king. Or in some instances, after the divination before the last, and they have just 2 or 3 names left, the kingmakers now decide to pick out of those 2 or 3. But in a situation whereby we don't even have an Ifa divination process, we are just picking kings from material attributes, not looking at the spiritual connection of that king and the town he's going to sit over. So that will be easy. Even at times nowadays, we have disrupted the process of ascension, whereby there's a rotation process from one ruling house to another ruling house. Once you trust that, you have disrupted the policy. So there must be consequences. We now go as far as even no divination. Kingmakers are also assisted by government or some powers that be in the town to say this is who I want. And such a king, after being selected, also does not go through the process of spiritual purification, enclosure for him to learn tradition, learn the ways, learn humility, and acquire authority. Because those are the things we do in seclusion, which is called the FEMI. That's where you acquire your authority. You acquire everything that an Oba requires. So once they don't do that, it's like you've been given a position that you are not prepared for. There's no way you're going to perform because you will be intimidated by some other people. You will be embarrassed. So many things. And that is just what has been happening to us. So I think if we want to continue with the Obasid system, then it must be hook, line, and sinker. The process must still go back to the process. And that's what we have always talked about. Once we get within the process and we make a Mr. an Oba, then such a Mr. is not an Oba. And this is the manifestations we will be seeing. And unfortunately, I think the Yoruba race is worst hit in Nigeria. Just as some of us have said, this is not what happens in Igbo land. This is not what happens in Hausa land. Even our colonial masters, we all saw it recently when King Charles was appointed. King Charles was named king and he was not put on the throne the following day. It took some months. The question was, what was he doing? The man was in seclusion. The man was being taught how to behave as the king of England. But this is a place whereby you name a king today and the following day he has sent the throne. And you are telling me things will go normal? No. So we are all going to pay for it. And unfortunately, what has happened, all of the rebalance, and not just the kings alone.
Yes, back to...
It's quite sad.
Yeah,
all right, thank you, Doctor. We're back to Oloye, Chief ELEBUIBON in the house. Let me ask you, sir, categorically, that incident in Iseyin, where OBJ, as is fondly called, that's former President Olusegun Obasanjo, said that when a president enters into an occasion or into a room, or a governor enters, everyone, including the traditional rulers, must stand up. Is it right?
That is modernization. The government function is different from traditional. The way you treat president, governor, the way you have to respect traditional people is more deeper than that. It is true when you are at government function, when they say the anthem is going to be played, everybody must stand up to respect our nation and respect our governor, respect our president too. But our tradition is more deeper. So look at the way they used to treat Queen Elizabeth in London. Look the way their government used to treat her. The same people that colonized us, that we took the government from them, they treat their king very well. Why can't we do that? To respect our king. And they are sacred, they are special people. So when they say the anthem is going to play on, Oba may rise. But by the time the governor is coming, or president, governor is an ordinary human being. Even though we gave him authorization when we vote them, and the same president, we have voted for them. When you see take a look at the meaning of a civil servant. Anybody that places himself in a position of a minister or what, they are servants of the people. But the servant now become the master. So we must respect our king and put them in a sacred place. They also need to respect themselves, like we say earlier. So stand, did they talk? It's wrong. The king, they are not a small baby. Did they They are not in classroom. We don't know what might cause that, but it is wrong to do that to our king.
Wow. Let me come back to you again, Dr. ATANDA, please. Looking at modernity, things have evolved compared to the days about 100 years ago, 50, 80 years ago, when the likes of his high chief here was much, when he was a boy, I still hope he's still a boy though, when he was younger than this, we knew what tradition meant, no matter who you were. Even if a white man was coming to see a king in our culture, there is always that aspect of how you will greet him or her. But right now, modernity seems to have evolved. How would you assess the role of Obas these days?
Well, it's unfortunate. It's almost as good as Oba roles have gone into oblivion. The only thing Obas do now is they take salaries as civil servants from the king, from the government. Then when government also wants to go into election in the election era, they give Obas recognition, they come and prostrate at their palaces and ask them to tell their people to vote for them. So that's the only thing Obas do. They are being used and dumped. So campaign for governors, campaign for local government chairmen, and once they get into office, the table is turned against them. And you come back and tell me that the king has no role. You will remember that even from our history, owns the land. Even when a king has his land and the government requires land for something, government will approach the king that, oh, we need land to do this project or that project. But nowadays, it's a different thing. This issue of modernization, bringing in constitution, has messed us up. And I don't think constitution is the problem. We have the problem of ourselves. Because just as Baba rightly, even the Western world, the British Empire, our colonial masters, also have a constitution. And the constitution for royalty. So our Obj'S folded their arms and allowed politicians, inclusive of Baba Obasanjo himself, to trust the policy and write a constitution to denigrate the role of Obj'S. From we denigrating our culture, denigrating our language. And that is just what happens. Once you derobe yourself of your religion, derobe yourself of your culture, derobe yourself of your language, then you must be prepared for all forms of insult. That is just what is happening into us. And it's about Sunny Babanu, also Apoya Koni. So it is the Apoya to happen to us one by one. And I'm sure this is not the last we are going to see. This is not the first time Obj'S will be embarrassed or disgraced. This is about the third and recent times. And more will happen unless we quickly retrace ourselves. And this retracing starts with the Obj'S themselves to understand where they are. But unfortunately, most of this crop of Obj'S cannot retrace themselves because they are impostors in the past. The greater majority of them are not bona fide kings that are supposed to be there. The greater majority of them still have cases in court. In those days, we didn't have cases in court when an Oba is being appointed because it is a thorough process. But now, once an Oba is appointed, there's a case in court for the next 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So you should already know that there's a problem with our process. We have thought process, and that is gradually affecting us and causing problems.
We want to sincerely thank you. Okay. Dr. ATANDA, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. Please hold on. And we'll come back to the High Chief. So you are the ARABA of OSOGBO land. You're a custodian of history and tradition, highly revered. Now, you have spoken to the fact that Obj'S are not just mere mortals, they are sacred beings. And that Obj'S too should respect themselves. But then we've seen situations, especially recently, where some Obj'S appear in all kinds of functions that even their subject, the people think, should Obj'S be here? Should Obj'S be there? Firstly, I'd like to ask you, is it every occasion, either traditional, either private occasions, that Obj'S should attend? That's number one. Number two, we've seen pictures and videos where some Obj'S attend events, maybe other religious events, and they put their crowns on the floor, or they put their crowns on their laps. What's your take on that? Is that proper?
Thank you very much.
Two questions in one.
Not every occasion that we must see Oba. Traditionally, in ancient time, the king don't go out at all. Not only the festival. It is, there are people, they see king once in a year during the festivals.
Just once?
Yes. They will just take an example for Olojo. That was the day the Oni will appear. It was in 1937 that they broke the ban. The king started to appear in the public. That used to have an adage, on Royo, on Kanju, Alaafin will become. Why are you in a hurry? The king alive is there. You don't go anywhere. But now, they broke that. They used to be in the public. At the same time, the king must know a place to go, because they cannot eat at the public. There's a lot of things. Even their head must not expose. while they are in the inner palace, they must wear a small cap. The king must not leave their head open.
Under any circumstance?
Every time, they must keep that head protected. We have something called Oriogbofu, the small crown or a small cap that must be on head of the king every time. If they are in the room or how, they must not expose their head to the public. And for the king to remove the crown in the public is wrong. It's wrong. There's a lot of things that prevent them from being associated with ordinary human beings, because they are not like ordinary people. They are sacred. But the modernization, Christianization that we all practice, that is what makes them behave the way they do now.
Dr. ATANDA, before we call it a wrap with you, are you still with us, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Now, looking at the institution of Oba in Yoruba land these days, it's very entrenched and very powerful, no doubt about that. But these days, the reverse is the case, kind of like. As a traditional person, and looking at what the major steps that should be taken traditionally to crown an Oba, all these steps, do they still exist?
I can check the last part of the question.
The steps taken to appoint an Oba in his domain, all the traditional steps that should be taken, are these steps still being taken?
That's a big question. Well, I would say that most of these steps are not being taken. Because a classical example, you can look at this. If you watch a recent film done by Femi Adebayo called Ageshikole, you will see the process of installation of our king. Look at the Shower of Ogbomoso that was just installed. He was named, he went into the palace, they did a process, and the process that was supposed to take at least 21 days was compressed to a 7 days process, all in the name of modernity. So those are where the issues start from. The process to become a king is not an overnight thing. If you are not well prepared for an exam, you are likely to fail. And that is just what is happening to us. Unless we change, the selection process must go back to what it is. After selection, the seclusion process must go back. There are different things that happen during seclusion. There are different rites the king must go through. There are different teachings he must be taught. He must know the story of his ancestors. He must know the stories of the various kings that have come before him. If you are becoming a 31st king of a town, will they teach you the story of the 30 kings that have come before you? From those kings, if 4 of them are your own direct ancestors, you must know their story. You must commune with your ancestors. And we only deceiving ourselves. And we must be able to separate your personal religion from the responsibility you have assumed. Ownership is a responsibility. Ownership is a commitment. But unfortunately, our others are interested in the glamour that comes with that title, and they are not ready to sacrifice the obligation, the duty that comes with it. And you remember, in history, we know some time ago, also predicted this, that if we are not careful, we will get to a time whereby when Obas lose hold of what their actual responsibility is, then Obaship will go into extinction. And we're almost getting there. Because a number that is not accorded respect, is he actually an Oba? A number that does not respect himself, is he an Oba? A number that can kneel before the mere mortal. So why can't he stand up for a governor? A number that can be turbaned by a mere mortal. That after you have become king, somebody still now turbans you as an Islamic chief of a mosque, and you sit before an imam to turban you, and you think things will not go wrong. And you see, where we have fear is IFA has been speaking, but government has been deaf. Our kings too have been deaf. They have logs of wood in their ears. The last IFA spoke was at the last Isheshe in Osebara, which Baba ELEBUIBON will bear me witness. When IFA warned again that our Obas have lost it, and they are doing what they like, and their ancestors are not happy with them. And one after the other, they will be disgraced and removed from office.
Okay.
Maybe this is the way they will start getting removed. Governors will start removing Obas. That will even be better off, rather than they being removed from office mystically. I just pray and I pray again that our Obas come back to their senses and we get it right.
All right, Dr. ATANDA, those are very, very strong words there. I know you try to, give us your opinion about how you feel about traditional institutions, but those are very, very strong words. But let me come back to you. And this is 2023, whether we like it or not. Some will say life evolves. Maybe tradition too evolve. Yes, we have our values and our cause that should never change. Values of hard work, values of truthfulness, values of loyalty. All those things possibly will never change. But let me ask you, sir, Dr. ATANDA, does Obas, our traditional rulers, do they have a place in governance? Should they have a place in governance? Because they are very close to their people. And when I'm talking about the southwestern part, I'm talking about the southwestern part of the country. Some years have their influences, but if I may use in contrast, up north, the emirs, they occupy a very, very important place. That is not to denigrate our Obas here, but in a manner of speaking, that when they speak to their people, the people listen. If an emir says go, nobody will say, why should I? They will just go. But then when you come to this side of, the southwest here, the situation might not really be the same. That's why I'm asking you, should Oba have a place, a role in governance in modern days? This is 2023. Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, Oba should have a role. Because what is called governance itself was not imported. It's not new to us. We had a system of governance before colonial masters came. Do you think it is a coincidence that government is called Ijoba? There's a similarity. It is from Oba that we have now said Ijo Oba, a conglomerate of kings. So they have a role. Even they are talking of 2023. In 2023, does the Prime Minister of England still not go to the Queen of England, who will now still do same to the King of England, to give a feedback, to consult and get advice from the Queen? We saw that many times. The Prime Minister works for the King of England. Those are the people who gave us all the world westernization, modernization. And years before now, we knew that even when the white men were here, they always do go to the king to consult, to seek advice, and they agree on something before the governor general or the administrators of each place now come up with this is the way we are going to go. And it is our politicians for their selfish roles that gradually remove that from the constitution. Because most of them are not sure whether they can come into power, and they also just want somebody they can make use of to get into political offices. That is why most times our politicians put their hands in the process of selection of another. They make sure they deliberately install somebody who is an impostor so that he cannot look them in the face. It's just for selfish reasons. I dare the politicians to challenge me on what I am saying. How many governors have said, I don't want to be involved in the selection process? They are always directly involved. Are they kingmakers of that town?
Dr. ATANDA?
But it is for selfish reasons. Just because they deliberately want an impostor to be there. You know, if you are not due for a process and you have been appointed, it is very difficult of you to query the man who appoints you.
Yeah, Dr. ATANDA?
Because you know tomorrow you can also challenge that you know you are not the rightful person.
All right. Doctor?
So that is what has just been happening to us.
Yes.
But Obj'S have a role in governance.
Yes.
At the minimum, an advisory role.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask, what role should that be? Are you already talking about it?
Thank you very much.
All right. I think he has addressed the matter as well. He has said at least an advisory role, the rules of Obj'S in governance.
All right. Yeah. Coming back to High Chief, sir, looking at what our tradition looks like, it's very, here in the Yoruba land, when anybody wants to greet an Oba, as a man, you prostrate, as a woman, you kneel. It's very common with the northerners. They will squat no matter how highly placed you are. If you have to greet the Sultan of Sokoto, no matter how who you are, you squat, rankadede, and that, what have you. But looking at what we have here in the Southwest these days, it's another ball game entirely. Can this be corrected? Is it possible, sir, where we will have so much regard for our Obj'S?
Thank you. It is very fundamental in Yoruba land. The greeting is special. You must greet the elder. The way you greet your elder or your parent, it's a different thing you greet your friend or colleague.
Yes, sir.
In one of the OLUOMO, if I say, Burubula yika, boroboro la dodobale, taba dodobale, taba pagbomo, amon laduro nti se funi. It's a blessing to greet the elder in a proper way. But the problem we have in that direction is the modernization and the Muslim people among us. They say that it is forbidden to prostrate or to kneel down. They read in their book that human beings, they are not God. If you prostrate for a king or for your father, you worship him. That's the problem that change what you may notice. In ancient time, it is proper way. Now it's gradually changes because of the sermon, because of what they are reading in their books. That is forbidden to kneel down or to prostrate. And to us, tradition, it is improper. That is why we used to tell those who came from royal family, if you are a Christian or Muslim, that you know that your religion is not going to allow you to properly take care of this. Better keep off. The religion is a problem that we have that troubling us. Instead of us to research, taking care of our own, read Oduifa, we read other people's books. We read Bible, we read Quran. The Quran is an account of history, people of Saudi Arabia. While you read the Bible, you read the story that happened in Israel, in the Bethlehem, in the Jericho. There's no place in the Bible where you can see Okejero, Ado, or Ogunleila. When you take a look into Oduifa, you see what happened to Orogun, what happened to Alara of Alara. Why don't we go down? That is our own. That is what caused what you are asking now. If that one is not correct, that is what's going to be continue.
All right. High Chief, let me ask you again, still on getting it right, traditionally, especially having that reference for our traditional rulers. But then we've seen these days, especially when politics is involved, that some of our traditional rulers are involved. You see some of them publicly campaigning for a political candidate or for a political party. Fundamentally, as a custodian of history, a very rich one at that, is it allowed for Obj'S to be partisan, to be involved in politics, to publicly campaign for candidates of his own choice, either somebody from his land or beyond his land? Are these things right? Is it allowed? Obj'S being involved in politics and being verbal publicly about it?
Thank you very much. The king in a position that all the politicians will come, left and right. Please, I want to be this, I want to be that. But it is wrong for a king to publicly campaign for any candidate. Even though they may come to him for a blessing, for the prayer for assistance. For a king to publicly declare, say, this is the person I want you to campaign for, it's wrong. It's going to belittle that king at the end of the day. And it's going to cause disrespect. And that's what makes some politicians put it in their mind. And they can remove the king politically. Whereas it is traditionally that can remove the king. If the king remove, it has to have a procedure traditionally. But politicians, they can just set up one inquiry, little thing, and say, this king has been removed, there's nothing can be done. We must go back to our tradition and culture. It is wrong for a king to publicly campaign. It is wrong.
All right, quickly, Dr. ATANDA, before we allow you go, are you still with us, sir?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Quickly, I probably think this will be my last question to you this morning. Doctor, help us out. The state at which tradition is in Nigeria, most especially in the West, looking at what former President Olusegun Obasanjo stated in Iseyin some few days ago, and he has come out to justify his public rebuke of traditional rulers. I was asked, is this the beginning of the end of that sort of respect an individual and individuals can begin to have for others? Wouldn't this be the beginning of looking down on our others?
I don't think so. I think we should look at it from a positive point of view. I think Baba Obasanjo has just been used by the deities as a wake-up call for all of us. Look at the number of Obas that have reacted now. That means among themselves, they must be talking. Some other politicians have reacted. I have watched videos of Islamic clerics too who have reacted. That despite me being a Muslim, this is below the belt. We are still Yorubas, this is our tradition. So, you know, when things will get better, there must be a major shake-up. I think this old man has just been used to cause the major shake-up. So I want to look at it in the positive light. That those of us who are speaking, inclusive of Western Spring, we are all on the right path. It must start from the kings themselves to readdress themselves. Baba has said it. They are doing so much of public appearances, and that is causing problem for them. You find Obas attending naming ceremonies of dogs, attending wedding ceremonies of cats. No. So I think this is a wake-up call for everybody to go back to the drawing board and get it right. And I'm sure certainly we will get it right. Because once we remove that, we are gradually destroying what is called the beauty and the heritage of being a Yoruba man. And I don't pray that to happen during this time of my existence.
All right, Doctor. If I may quickly chip in this in 30 seconds, if you can please answer us there. Baba Obasanjo, you know, as being called, is somebody that has been seen that is big on tradition. He has been seen in many videos, many occasions where he goes to greet kings. As old as he is, he prostrates.
Exactly.
Even beyond the shores of this land, I can remember when he went to greet the Olu of Warri, he knelt down. In many instances, he has been seen that he is somebody who is big on tradition and culture. And so, seeing that outburst in Iseyin on that day, what did you think happened?
That's why I said that Baba Obasanjo was being used by the deity. If I had predicted it, that the Obas had gotten to a point whereby they will be humiliated by the deities, by the ancestors. There's no other person that could have been used. I cracked a joke a few days ago that in as much as I have been appointed as a custodian also of the deities, it would have been a different thing if the deities selected me to make an outburst against the Obas. I'm sure by now I must have been locked up somewhere. So, Baba,
hello, doctor. Oh, okay. We lost tradition quickly because of the want of time here. Let's say, High Chief, tradition and culture is something, most especially in the Southwest, just as it is all over Nigeria, having the different traditions and culture. Tradition, culture, can it be gotten right again? Looking at the days when you were younger than this and looking at where we are at this moment in time.
Tradition and culture, they are woven together. You cannot separate culture from tradition. If you remove one, you have nothing. That's the problem some of us are having. Some of us say they want culture, they don't want tradition. And the religion, traditional religion, is mother of culture. So once you remove one, you don't have nothing. That's the problem. We need to respect our own culture and our own tradition. That is why we need to be honest in all our endeavors. If you say you want to be a pastor and you come from family of the king, why don't you stay in the church? Unless you want to abandon that totally. and practice what it is. That's going to give us a glory. For someone come from China or Britain to come examine or do research on how authorship used to be practiced, and they started to read Bible, sing a song in the ancient palace. Is that good? It's a shame. It is a shame.
Wow.
All right. ELEBUIBON, sir, as we wrap it up gradually, now let me ask categorically that can somebody be a Muslim or a Christian and still want to do well with culture? Okay, when I mean culture, the ways we dress, our song, our choice of food, our values, ethos, as, possibly, for example, as a Yoruba person, this person is a Muslim, the other one is a Christian, but then they can still identify with the culture. Is it not possible? Or does that mean once you want to be a cultural person or traditional person, you must both be a traditional worshiper? Is that it?
Usually, there's nothing wrong with traditional worshiper. There's nothing wrong with our own police. That is like our way of life. That's first to believe. You cannot do away with traditional worshiping by the time you say you want to be authentic a Yoruba culture. Take for example, you have a proverb, "Enimoju Ogun ni ipa binire." That proverb is good, but you don't want anything to do with Ogun. Àrùn tí ń ṣogójì, onísọ̀ọ̀dún, ohun tí ń ṣàbọ̀yadé, gbogbo ọlọ́ya ní í ṣe. We don't want anything to do with Oya. So there's nothing wrong with our traditional Orisha worship. To be Orisha worship and be a culturalist is okay. But
sir, if I may, just because we have to ask to go, I just have to chip in this. Why do you think, and I think there was a time that Dr. ATANDA was here and I asked him this same question, but why do you think in modern days now, when traditional worship is mentioned, people just see it as something negative? People see it as something fetish. People see it as something that will harm them. Why do you think people have that orientation?
Because of the propaganda. These two other religions have been publicly used all the time because of what people hear from their Muslim people. That is why people get scared. The publicity they do on radio, on paper, or every day, that make people scared. When they say, "Oh, this man is an Olorisha," there's nothing wrong to call a person an Olorisha. We are all Olorisha. Even those who go to church, they are an Olorisha.
How?
Because in Orisha, human being become Orisha. If Jesus was born in Yoruba land, Jesus would have been pronounced Orisha. If Muhammad was born in Yoruba land, Muhammad would have been pronounced Orisha. Obatala is an Orisha. Ogun is an Orisha. Ẹni tó gbọ́n ni wọ́n ń bọ, èèyàn ní ń dòrìṣà. So there's nothing wrong with Olorisha.
All right.
As we custom this morning, Dr. ATANDA, this will be our parting shot at this moment in time, sir. I will just say, from your own point of view, I know you're probably not too pleased with the way tradition is these days. What message are you passing across at all levels, to all levels at this moment in time?
I think the major thing is this is the time for us to embrace our culture back, embrace our tradition, so that we can continue to hold our heads high among equals, because we are all equals before God Almighty Oludumare. It is when you denigrate that which God has given to you that makes you become a lesser being. Let us embrace our culture, embrace our traditions, embrace our language, and we shall be better off for it. So I pray we are able to do this.
I want to thank OLUOMO, Dr. OLUSEYI ATANDA, the AJANA OSOGBO, and it's also the president, Traditional Religion Worshippers Association of Osun State. Thank you. He spoke to us all the way from Port Harcourt this morning. Thank you. And enjoy your trip.
Yeah.
And as we coast home once again here, High Chief, at this moment in time, if possible, that message, just as I have actually asked the AJANA as well, I know you're probably not too pleased with the way tradition is, the way there's so much disrespect for rulers, obas, traditional rulers at this moment in time. To everybody, not just those in government or thereabout, what is your message to us all at this time?
My message to us is to go back to our place of originated. It has to, the government need to make it important in our school. The most important Yoruba language and Yoruba culture. At home, because we have an adage, Ile Latin Come Jomesan Rode, charity begins at home.
Yes, sir.
Be odeodo, be igbeni lonri. If house is not at peace, the house is not going to be good. So we start from our home. Let a child wake up in the morning, prostrate. Baba, Ekaro, Okare, Adigun, Omo Odi, Odimode Resa, Akarila, Yoda Fonloni. A wife kneel down by the side of her husband. Olowo ori mi oko mi. Ekaro, Okare, Yoda. We need to start from home, go back to that. That is going to benefit us to have a good public outside. Otherwise, we must take care of the home before we take care of outside. Let's speak our language. There's no shame in it. Let's eat our own food. Let's dress in our own traditional dress. There's no shame. If we continue to do all this, that's going to give us a good culture.
All right. High Chief IFAYEMI OSUNDAGBONU ELEBUIBON ARABA of OSOGBO. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program today. We so much appreciate your wisdom. And you know, I remember the first time I listened to Baba's voice was almost 20 years ago on one of these popular programs, and I'm meeting him in person. Thank you, sir, for coming. And I want to say thank you, esteemed listeners, audience, you know, viewers. Watching our viewers all over the world. It's been a very eye-opening kind of session this morning on this program. Thank you from Europe, from North America, South America, Africa here, or through the nation. You've listened to Dr. Atanda and, of course, High Chief ELEBUIBON on the place of our traditional rulers and what we should be doing to promote our culture as well. These will be the size of the program today. And the conversation has been about the outburst of what happened in Iseyin with the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and these has been, you know, attended to sufficiently. Femi Ojo is my name. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. God bless Nigeria.
And also, I lend my voice to say thank you for being a part of the show this morning. We'll be back again for the midweek edition tomorrow, God willing. And on behalf of the entire transmission team and to our very esteemed guests, both in the studio and live on Zoom, thank you for being a part of this. TUNDE IDOWU remains my name. But remember, you can follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And also, our YouTube channel is live at Western Spring Television. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. Irresistible till your next. We'll see you tomorrow.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ad initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups in the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Springer Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history. The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent